friends, it's Sydney with Tastefully Frugal, and today's video is all about Cricut Infusible Ink. Now if you follow Tastefully Frugal for a while, you know how obsessed I am with Infusible Ink. It is one of my favorite materials to use. I love the vibrant colors it produces. I love that the projects are permanent. It's not like vinyl or HTV where it can potentially peel once you use Infusible Ink, just like sublimation. It's in your design and it gives you professional quality designs for a fraction of the price. Now, one of the questions I get asked most often when I do an Infusible Ink project is, do I have to use the Cricut brand blanks with Infusible Ink? And the answer is no, you don't. So on the table here, I have a whole lot of blanks, whole lot of sublimation blanks. And today we're going to be testing them out to see which ones work with Infusible Ink, which ones don't. And we'll go over some design tips as well when it comes to working with Infusible Ink, because there are some designs or some like SVG files, things like that, that you don't want to use Infusible Ink on. So we'll go over all of that. We'll also go over tips on getting the most out of your design and project when you are using a heat press as well as an EasyPress. You can use both of these for Infusible Ink. You do want to have the EasyPress too, just because it does get up to that higher temperature, to the 385 or 400, which you need for Infusible Ink. So the Infusible Ink is a lot like sublimation in terms of the heating process. You do need the high heat to make sure that your ink is fully pressed into your design. So let's first take a better look at some of these blanks that I've chosen. We're going to be doing 10 different projects with 10 different blanks. I'll go over why I chose the blanks, and then we'll go into some more details on using Infusible Ink with these blanks.
So for a craft blank to be able to be used for sublimation or Infusible Ink, it needs to be one of two things. It either needs to have a high polyester count or be made of high polyester fabric, like these mouse pads, or it needs to have a polyester coating, like these puzzles. The puzzles are one of my favorite things to use Infusible Ink on. I've made these puzzles for my kids. I've made them as party favors for my son's party, and they're really fun. I do like keeping the cardboard backing that comes with them on the back when I'm pressing it. It just helps keep those puzzle pieces together. So make sure to keep that cardboard backing when you're pressing it. Let's talk about these neoprene hand sanitizer holders. It's the same material for these as like the can koozies. And these from 143 Vinyl come with the clip and come with the hand sanitizer bottle, or I've seen people use them for like sunblock. Either way, it comes with the clip, it comes with the bottle, but make sure you take those out before you press them because you want it to be as flat as possible. These popsicle holders are made from the same material. Now you'll notice that these, if you're looking for them, come in different colors. When you're using Infusible Ink or sublimation, make sure you're only doing it on white or light colored materials. The darker and brighter colors just won't show that ink as well. This, I think, is my favorite blank to use. It is that reversible sequin. It's a backpack. You've probably seen the pillows, but these are really, really fun. When you are pressing them with sublimation or Infusible Ink, make sure that you are pressing on that white. Again, you need to do it on the white color, and these have the polyester coating so they stick well. This one is from 143 Vinyl, and it really is a great quality. I've tried other ones, and they're okay too, but I like the velvet backing on this one, and the liner is a really good quality too. Next, we have a license plate. So the back is made of aluminum, and then the front that just has this protective cover, it has the polyester coating for sublimation. Again, here's the can koozie. It's the same material as those popsicle holders or the hand sanitizer holders. These come in lots of different colors, but again, for sublimation or Infusible Ink, you need to make sure you're only using the white, or if there's a light gray, you can use the light gray, but don't do other colors. Next, we have aprons. These are also 100% polyester. I have made several of these for myself. I've made them for gifts, and they are really fun. It comes with these two pockets, which is nice for cell phones or tools or things like that. And then we also have a 100% polyester pillow cover. It's a mouthful. These are huge. I think they're 17-inch square. They're also from 143 Vinyl. And last but not least, we have a 100% polyester tote bag. I absolutely love making Infusible Ink tote bags. It's probably my favorite project.
Okay, so we talked about the blanks. Let's talk about why you would use Infusible Ink over HTV or sublimation. For one, Infusible Ink is a much affordable option compared to sublimation. To do sublimation designs, you have to either buy a sublimation printer or buy a printer to be converted into a sublimation printer. If that's something that you're looking to do, I've linked a video in the description of this video showing you how to convert an Epson printer into sublimation. So that's definitely an option. Those colors turn out vibrant and it's a really fun project too. But if you're on a budget, that can get a bit expensive. You're looking at several $100s versus buying infusible ink. All you really need to buy is the infusible ink, which is, you know, $10, $15. So it's definitely more budget friendly. If you are wanting to make projects that you're going to wash a lot or wear a lot, infusible ink is definitely the way to go versus vinyl or HTV because it lasts forever as long as you're using the right materials. If you use infusible ink on a non-sublimation or not a high polyester count material, or it doesn't have the sublimation coating on the glass or the ceramic materials, your design will fade as it gets washed. But as long as you're using the correct blanks, your projects will last forever. So this is great if you're making shirts like for your kids, if you're making dish towels, mugs, things like that. Infusible ink is a great option. Also, if you're wanting to sell your projects, if you wanted to start a business, or if you have a business and you want to make your projects last longer, and again, if budget is a concern, infusible ink is the way to go. These projects are going to last forever because you are infusing the ink, hence the name infusible ink. The ink is getting permanently pressed into your project, so you don't have to worry about customers coming back, you know, 6 months or a year later, hey, my shirt's peeling. That just doesn't happen with infusible ink. So let's go ahead and start making some projects. I've cut out all the designs already, and I have linked in the description for this video a blog post with all of the supplies we're using, all the blanks we're using, as well as the time and temperature settings, as well as the tips that I'll go over with the designs themselves, what designs you'll want to use with infusible ink, and what ones you'll want to avoid. So if you are more of a visual learner, you like learning through reading, check out that blog post and bookmark it. It will be a great reference tool for you to have when you are making these infusible ink projects. But let's go ahead and get started crafting.
Show you a few things on the infusible ink box because I do get some questions about the material themselves. So these come in either 4 packs like this one here or 2 packs. They're basically the same thing. It's just the 2 packs only have 2 sheets and the 4 packs obviously only have 4 sheets. One of the things that I really like about the different pattern sheets, whether it's the 2-pack or the 4-pack, is they always come in complementary colors and patterns. So it makes it nice if you want to use different colors or different texture, not textures, but different shades to do in one box, or you can mix and match. Also, make sure you're using the standard grip or the green mat to cut on, and make sure it's a newer-ish mat or it's sticky, because sometimes the infusible ink will peel as you're cutting it. So make sure that you're using a stickier mat when you are cutting your infusible ink.
Before we get into cutting our designs out of infusible ink, I wanted to go over a few other supplies that you might want to have on hand that will make your designs, well, it'll make pressing your designs a lot easier, and it'll make those colors really shine through. So one thing is going to be heat resistant tape. You don't necessarily need this on every project, but on some of them, like the can koozies that we're going to do and the popsicle holders, the heat resistant tape really makes it helpful with getting the transfer sheets pressed down so that they don't move when you're pressing them. So that is helpful. Also, a lint roller. This is a necessity in my opinion. They're not very expensive, but you want to clean, whether you're doing a pillow, whether you're doing a shirt, whether you're doing coasters or a license plate, anything, you want to clean it before you preheat it and before you put your infusible ink transfer sheets on, because any fibers that are on there can distort your design. So definitely have a lint roller when you are working with infusible ink. Also, to protect your pressing pad, you'll want to have either your pressing EasyPress mat or your pressing pad on your heat press. Have a piece of cardstock on the heat press, or like I said, your EasyPress mat, and then put your blank on top of it. That way, if for whatever reason any color from the transfer sheet that comes through off of the transfer sheet and doesn't get on your blank, it will come on here. I'll show you on when I'm pressing the hand sanitizer holder as well as the can koozies. You'll see where this cardstock comes in handy. And last but not least, you'll want to, if you're doing the EasyPress you'll want to have the EasyPress mat. This makes sure that all of the heat is staying in your blank instead of going on the table. If you are doing the heat press, you don't need an EasyPress mat, but if you are doing anything like a shirt or a tote bag or a pillowcase, anything like that, whether you're using the heat press or the EasyPress, I suggest using a pressing pillow inside those. That way you'll be able to keep all of the heat on the top layer of whatever it is, so either the top layer of the bag or the shirt or the pillowcase. Also, you'll be able to make sure that your heat source, so your EasyPress or your heat press, all of the heat from that is just going to the part of the fabric or the blank where your infusible ink transfer sheets are. That way that you will make sure that you have the most heat. I'm going to show you in one of the examples that we'll do here in just a bit where I didn't use a pressing mat, and you'll see that there is some discoloration. So I definitely suggest using a pressing pillow, whether you are using the EasyPress or the heat press when you're doing anything that you can stick inside, like a tote bag, a t-shirt, things like that. So I've linked everything in the description of this video. Like I mentioned earlier, you can get these pressing pillows from 143 Vinyl, or you can get them on Amazon. But let's go ahead, and I want to share some tips for cutting infusible ink and weeding it, and then we'll get into making our projects.
Let's get started crafting. We're going to open up this box together so I can go over a few things with you. This is the Shaylee collection. We're going to be making the tote bag with this one. But when you open it up, you'll notice that the infusible ink transfer sheets come in like this black bag. Just like sublimation paper, you'll want to keep these in a dark place, or the colors can be affected by the sun. So when you're done with them, just keep them in the box and store it like out of the way of the sun. But once you get them out of the black bag, you'll notice there are a few things that come with your infusible ink transfer sheets. So you have the sheets themselves, and they may look a little dull. Let me show you what I mean. It's the same thing if you've done sublimation. You know when it comes off the printer, it looks duller than it is when it's pressed. So when it's done, it will look as bright as it is on the box, even though the colors are a little bit dull on the sheets. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with your sheets. They are definitely supposed to look like that. The black actually looks like brown. That's one of the biggest questions we get. Also, you have this lint-free cloth, which is really good for cleaning things like the puzzles or ceramic coasters. And then it comes with the butcher paper that you need. So you don't need to buy that. You should have enough in there to do as many projects as you have sheets. Here is a tip for when you are getting your infusible ink onto your mat. Open up your machine and then stick your mat after the cover's off of it underneath the machine. Then put your infusible ink roll over on top of the bottom of your machine and line it up on the mat, and then just slowly pull your mat out and push your transfer sheets down at the same time. And this will help you get your infusible ink transfer sheets on the mat without a headache. It can definitely be tough with how tight they're rolled, but doing it this way makes it really easy. You'll want to mirror your designs and make sure you cut on the infusible ink transfer sheet setting. Now let's go over some tips with weeding infusible ink. You want to use your fingers. You don't ever want to use a tool like a pin pen or weeding tool, because it can push the ink into that backing sheet and it will transfer over to your design. So you'll want to just start in any corner, or you can start by the design and then just start slowly peeling away the excess sheets that you need. It feels a little bit like paper, and it does peel away really easily. If you are doing multiple colors like we are here, you don't want to repress infusible ink, so you want everything to be on one transfer sheet. So what I like to do is to weed the biggest piece first. So that's what I did with that cutest in the sea design. And now I'm just taking the mermaid part off of the second transfer sheet. No need to weed the extra parts since we don't need it. We're just taking the wording off, and then we're just going to line that up on the first transfer sheet. Now, if there's part of your design that hangs off the backing, that's a-okay. That's part of the reason the parchment paper is there. And also, I'll show you with having cardstock underneath to make sure that that doesn't get onto your heat press mat or your EasyPress mat. So let's go ahead and make this tote bag. Let's get it on our heat press. Make sure that all of the white is pressed down. You don't want any of the blue on there. So get it on there nice and flat. Try to get all the seams out of the way, all those strings. And then you'll want to use your lint-free cloth to clean any fibers that you have off. And then just preheat it for about 5 seconds. When we're using the heat press, we're going to press everything at 385 for 40 seconds. So once we have that preheated, I'm going to put this pressing pillow into the backpack. Again, this is going to make it so that the surface area where we're putting the Infusible Ink transfer sheets is getting all of the heat. So we don't really need any of the heat going into the top of the backpack or the bottom of the backpack. We just want it right there where our Infusible Ink transfer sheet is. I definitely like the motto of measure twice and cut once, or measure twice and press once here. So you'll see me oftentimes measuring several times to make sure things are centered both on the top and on the bottom, and then make sure that that pressing pillow is underneath your design completely. Once we have everything centered, then we will put our parchment paper that comes with those Infusible Ink transfer sheets on top of our design, and then just press down at 385 for 40 seconds. I am using the Starcraft Mint heat press here, which I absolutely love. I've linked it in the description of the video, and it works great for Infusible Ink, sublimation, HTV. It's just a great all-around machine. Once your timer is up, you can go ahead. You don't have to wait for it to cool down. You can just peel away the transfer sheet or the backing, and then you have your backpack. How fun is this? Let's take a better, closer look. We can start pressing up, press up to put the blue sequins on, and you can still kind of see the design in there, which I think is really cool. And then you just have to push down to get your design to come back. My daughter is so excited for this backpack. I used the Rainbow Mermaid sampler, and I just used the scales pattern here, and then I used this bottom one, the rainbow, like the ombre rainbow one, and I really like how the colors blended together here. All right, let's make another project. We're going to make the license plate. Like I said, you have that plastic covering that's protecting your sublimation side. So take that off first, and then use your lint roller to clean any fibers off of the plate. Then you'll want to line up your design on your license plate. I like to put it on the EasyPress mat and then line it up, so I'm not having to move it and possibly move the design. But again, we're just measuring on all 4 sides here to make sure that everything is lined up smoothly. And we're going to be using the EasyPress for this. Now, when I use an EasyPress, I like to set it to 400 degrees instead of 385 because they do tend to drop temperature a little bit. So we're doing 400 for 40 seconds, have the parchment paper on it, and then we're just going to press for the 40 seconds. When it is a bigger design like this, I do move it around just a little bit to make sure that all those sides are being covered. If you need to, if you only have an EasyPress, you can definitely do it in batches, but just make sure all of the edges are pressed on there so that you get bright colors through the whole design. So as you can see, it's bright on the edges, it's bright in the center. I absolutely love this color. This is the second sheet in the Bright Bow Fairy Tales we used, and I actually used this box on several projects. All right, let me show you a design here that when I measured the first time, I messed up on the cut. So you can see that this design, when I first cut it, I didn't have it big enough. So I needed to recut it a little bit bigger. The fact that this is bigger than our can koozie, that is a-okay. That's where the cardstock comes in handy. So you'll see here that you can see the white underneath in the wording, and it's bigger than the can koozie, which is perfect. That's exactly what we want. So we are going to clean our can koozie. Then we are going to preheat it for 5 seconds. After that, we are going to line up our Infusible Ink sheet. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but you'll want to put the colored side down facing your blank. Just going to eye it, make sure everything looks centered on both the top and the bottom. And then I am going to use that heat resistant tape on this material just to tape it down so that it doesn't move when it's getting pressed, because we are pressing a smaller blank than the transfer sheet size. Again, cover it with the parchment paper. Parchment paper is very important. If you don't use it, you could possibly get those Infusible Ink inks on the bottom of your heat plate. And then this is, again, a warm peel, so just peel it away. And you have your design in your koozie. Then I just have the same sized rectangle. I'm going to use the same tape, heat resistant tape that I used for the front side. Just tape it down. We don't need to preheat it this time because it's already been heated as we've pressed on the first press. Put your parchment paper down and press again for 40 seconds and then remove that transfer sheet. This is a really fun design. As you can see here, the colors are a nice vibrant color. You do have some white on the sides, but it doesn't affect the design. I used this same Bright Bow Fairy Tale for the hand sanitizer holder, and I thought this was so fun for like teenagers or even, you know, elementary school kids. And it's this first transfer sheet in there. Really fun, I think, kid, teenager friendly design. Next, let's take a look here. This gives you a better idea of why you want to have the cardstock down. Look at all of that ink transfer on the cardstock from these popsicle holders. So if you didn't have the cardstock down, that would have gotten all over your EasyPress mat and would have ruined your mat. So here are the popsicle holders that we made. I used the Mermaid Rainbow. I used the 2 sheets, the green for the name and then the scales for around it. For Statham's, that's my son, I just used the camo and then the yellow for his name. And then for Rawl, on the shark design, we used the blue and then we used the red for his name and the rainbow watercolor here. And these turned out really fun. Let's talk about that tote bag. I've talked about this Shaylee color before, and I really, really love the bright rainbow colors of this design with the black. One of the great things about the images in Cricut Design Space is they are already sliced, so it makes them perfect for using with Infusible ink because you can't layer Infusible ink on top of itself. So we did the black and then that rainbow flower design, and it turned out really, really fun. All right, let's take a look at our next project. It is this flower market pillow, and I used the Natalie Malin watercolors, and just look at how fun these watercolors are, and look how bright they are in these pillowcases. When you use 100% polyester like these pillowcases are, it really makes these vibrant colors shine, and these watercolors are absolutely gorgeous. This Natalie Malin watercolor set is one of my favorite Infusible ink sets to use. I've used it on several projects, and then I just used a black sheet for the wording on this. Another project that I used this same set on was this apron. It's a little dirty because I've worn it a lot, but this was a super fun project to make. I used the bottom sheet on this for the blue, and then the pink is the top sheet. And it was a fun design that is in Cricut Design Space as well. But I've used this, I've watched it several times, used it a lot, and it still looks great. All right, here is the puzzle, and this is really fun. I should have done a bigger design because there's a lot of white pieces, but I really love these diamond pieces with this Snow White, the dwarfs with hi ho at work. Just a really fun design, and it shows the different colors, but also that hi ho, how small the design is, cut out beautifully on the Infusible ink. All right, last but not least was a project that I messed up on. This is one that I should have used a pressing pillow on. It was this mouse pad. As you can see, I didn't, and so we had some discoloration from the EasyPress, but it still turned out really fun, and my kids are excited to use it. I used the windbreaker patterns. Let's see if I can get that to focus in. We used the windbreaker pattern, and I just used this red sheet right here.
I absolutely love using Infusible ink. It's one of my favorite materials to use with my Cricut machine, and with so many sublimation blanks out there, the variety of projects that you can make really is endless. Whether you're making something for your craft room, whether you're making something for your kids, you know, projects big like pillowcases, or even small projects like hand sanitizer holders or popsicle holders. Really, there is no end to the possibility of projects you can make with Infusible Ink. I have linked in the description of this video a blog post that goes over more information about Infusible Ink. I've also linked all of the different sheets that we used, as well as all the different blanks, and a few more blanks that I've used in the past that have worked with Infusible Ink. So if you're new to Infusible Ink, or if you're wanting to try it out on some new materials, maybe some that we didn't show in the video today, check that blog post out for all the information. Also, every design that I use today is a Cricut Design Space image. So in the description of this video, I've linked the Design Space canvas with all of these images sized for these projects already. So if you want to recreate any of these projects, I've made it super easy for you to do that. I have linked everything we used, all the Infusible Ink transfer sheets, all of the blanks, all of the supplies that we used. They're all linked in the video as well. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I would love to have you subscribe to Tastefully Frugal for more Cricut tips, tricks, and tutorials. See you next time.